Jagger.
Oh, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Look, the Leader of the Opposition began this debate this afternoon by trying to pretend that he, in fact, had a plan for our country's future. And he gave it a red-hot crack. Like, I've got to hand that to him. He certainly did try to present a plan for our future. But the trouble is, like all the plans that the Leader of the Opposition tries to serve up, it was wafer thin and it just doesn't add up. There were no details, and we do all know that famous slogan made famous, in fact, I think by the Leader of the Opposition and those opposite. If you don't know, vote no. So when we're served up plans with no details, when we're told that this is what the Australian people should rely on for their future, when times are tough, when we do need serious governments who are going to do serious work, if you don't know, vote no. Because what the Leader of the Opposition is putting in front of us is a giant con. He is pretending that he is trying to address the climate crisis in front of us. In fact, what we're getting from the Leader of the Opposition is the type of climate denial that we got under the lot opposite in their nearly decade in power. The kind of climate denial that has left our country in the position where our government is now stepping in to do the work we need to build the country of the future, to make the transition to renewables. And while we're doing that work and while we're doing it in the way that sensible governments do, the opposition gives us a 2-page plan for nuclear. So what do we know about the plan? What do we know about what Peter Dutton has proposed? We do know that it will cost more.
We'll need to use members' correct title. Thanks, Member for Jagga.
Certainly. What do we know about the plan that the Leader of the Opposition has presented for us? We do know that it will cost more. All the experts tell us that for Australia, nuclear is the most expensive option. Where will that extra cost end up? It will end up on the power bills of Australian households. And the member for Cook, he talked about the need to rein in spending in the speech he just gave. Well, that is a conversation he probably does need to have with his leader, because, again, if we are talking about reining in spending, the absolute worst thing that we could do would be to sign a blank cheque from the government for the most expensive form of power there could be for our country, nuclear energy, to have that end up on Australians' power bills. Of course, on this side of the House, we are taking a very different approach. We do know that times are difficult for so many Australians at the moment. And so that is why we have been focused on providing very real cost of living relief at the areas where we know that Australians are feeling it. Tax cuts for every single Australian taxpayer. Power bill rebates, $300 for every household, and $325 for 1 million small businesses. And, Deputy Speaker, I know when I've been talking about this measure in my community, people have really welcomed it. They have also asked me, how do we get it? Well, I want to let you all know you don't have to do anything to get it. It will be applied directly to your power bill. We are putting a freeze on the cost of PBS medicines for every Australian. We've put in place a third consecutive pay rise for 2.6 million workers. More funding to build homes in every part of the country, and an additional 2 weeks to paid parental leave. And of course this builds on reforms we've already delivered: cheaper childcare, fee-free TAFE, our biggest ever investment in expanding bulk billing, increasing Commonwealth rent assistance, wiping almost $3 billion in student debt, real cost of living relief. Tangible for every person in Jagga, for every person in Australia who we know is doing it tough. Australians deserve better than what they were served up from the Leader of the Opposition today. They deserve better than a wafer-thin proposal masquerading as a plan. They deserve better than a Leader of the Opposition who is so deep in climate denial that he is ready to tell Australians that the only option, the only way forward, is the most expensive, the most unviable. The only way that this country can meet its energy needs of the future is to go nuclear and for Australians to pay more for their power. Australian people deserve a government that understands that times are tough and is delivering real tangible cost of living relief. That is what this government is